Hello everybody, I am Ben from Team Panic. It is time to talk about how my 150 gram four-wheel drive front hinge flipper Run For It did at ARC's October meet. Now, before any of you ask questions, yes, I was running Run For It because I had family with me for this meet, and my sister actually ran Exilus here. We did some upgrades and stuff to Exilus. She did some cosmetic upgrades with some eyes in multiple places. I did some upgrades by taking the front armor off, which worked out really well. So the next time we run Exilus, you will get to see that. I do have some footage of her fighting Exilus, but they're not my fights, so I can't really comment too much on them, which wouldn't make for a very good video. So we'll just leave Exilus as is, and I will fight Exilus in the near future, probably, and you'll get to see those upgrades then, essentially. So we will be running Run For It for this particular competition. As with the beta weight fights here, the pits are open for the competition. Again, ARC is a volunteer run organization and they just did not have time to get the pits up and running. I will say though, on that front, that the pits were removed from the arenas before we left the venue. So something has to happen for them for the next month's meet, because otherwise there will be straight drops to the floor, which is just very unsafe. So fingers crossed, basically. As always, we have a round robin bracket, and then the top couple from each bracket go on into a single elimination tournament for the championship. So let's get started with our round robin bracket, and up first, a robot called Ravenclaws. This was interesting. Yes, Ravenclaw did spin up way too early. They were spinning as the count started. That was because Ravenclaw is a new robot driven by a very young driver. So yes, I think that when the EO Chris said, "Let's get ready," he thought that was the start of the fight and just spun up. Didn't matter too much to me. I mean, in the plastics class, I'm not too worried about it. Obviously, in the full combat, that is a massive, massive advantage. But what it did actually mean was that he was at full speed on his spinner when I flipped him over and slammed that spinner into the ground and had the entire force of that spinner come back up through the robot, shattering the motor mount for the spinner. And in actual fact, breaking it for the rest of the competition, because I'm pretty sure Ravenclaw did not have a spinner for the rest of that. This is actually, I think, the second time Ravenclaw has been at an event, but I'm pretty sure last time it wasn't driven by such a young driver. And of course, with him kind of upside down and weaponless, it was fairly easy to push him down into the pit. Again, kind of confirming to me that the person driving this particular robot was fairly inexperienced. They left the spinner going in the pit until they were tapped and said, "Hey, maybe you should turn that back off again, because you're in the pit, it's not doing you any good, and it's also very broken." But yeah, that was a good showing from Run For It. Nice use of the weapon. Good to see this thing still works, because obviously it has been a while since we ran Run For It in any particular event. I've been running Exilus for a good little while now, but it's honestly fun to go back to the four-wheel drive front hinge. That was a interesting fight. Moving on, we have a robot called Flatpak, starting with a P, not an F for some reason. And this is a robot made entirely out of MDF, possibly laser cut, but maybe not. Yeah, so as I said, we haven't run Run For It in a little while, and that showed here because, yeah, the wheel came off, basically, which is not supposed to happen. It just, I didn't, in the rebuild of this, because I threw Run For It back together fairly quickly, knowing that I wasn't going to be running Exilus, and was like, oh, I need a robot, I'll just throw Run For It back together. I forgot that Run For It's design basically includes hot glue in the wheels to keep the wheels on, and of course, missed that in the build process. So, missed it, basically, and that meant that we lost this fight because we had wheels come off. Mad props, though, to Flatpak. Like I said, that robot is all just like timber, essentially, which is allowed in our non-destructive B-weight class. And despite the fact they're only touching the ground on 2 points, those 2 points were really low to the ground. They got under my acetate here, which is a surprise, really. Acetate is really good at hugging the ground and picking up other robots. So to be bested by, yeah, what is essentially 2 wooden prongs got me off guard a little bit. And then, yes, obviously the wheel falling off didn't help us either, and they capitalized on that beautifully. Despite the fact that Run For It has a lot of traction, yeah, only 2 wheels worth of traction wasn't going to save us there. Okay, so 1-1 so far in our round robin with 2 fights yet to come. Next up, we have a robot called Grey Spike. This is one of the lone robots which I think was being driven by somebody new to the sport. So this was a fairly quick fight. We pushed Grey Spike around a bit, flipped them over a couple of times, and then unfortunately they drove themselves into the open pit. But this fight for me was kind of a reaffirmation of liking Run For It. Like the other couple of fights, like the Ravenclaw fight was really quick, and then the Flatpak fight, obviously we had the issue with the wheel, but this one was the first one where I actually got a bit of time to like maneuver and push people around, and it kind of reaffirmed my love for this like really low, really compact, really like low center of gravity, controlled type design. And I don't know, I might do another version of this, just a silly version of this, like push it lower. And do more wheels or something, like maybe spread it out, kind of get a little bit of low man vibes going, but not quite. Like I still want it to be a little bit taller. Like I'm not going to push it as low as possible. There's a few design goals that I kind of, like there's things about this design I really like, and while this design is working really, really well right now, I think I could get it better and I could push it lower and it could be fun. So I might do that, in fact. I don't know. I'll have to see if I can do that like this. We'll see. Everything is up in the air currently. But this fight kind of just, like I've been fighting Exilus for a while and I like Exilus. Exilus is fun, it is bouncy, it is interesting to drive, but there is also something to be said for a very stable, controlled design that you know what you're going to get out of it as soon as you know, touch the sticks basically. And that is what Run For It is. Run For It is a much more controlled, goal-oriented design than something like Exilus. So, yeah, I mean, maybe we do build the new version of Run For It, and then we just kind of bounce back and forth between the silly and the control. Maybe. I don't know. We'll see what we do. I'm just kind of spitballing here a little bit. And next up, moving on, we have the Force. This is a robot that we have seen a decent amount on this channel. It is a 4-wheel drive vert that is driven by Owen, the son of Steve, who has built some very interesting robots that we see around all the time on this channel.
2, 1, go!
So that was actually a pretty good fight. I'm used to now kind of trying to keep weapons away from me, especially having run Exilus for a little while. So I was trying to keep the Force's weapon away from me a little bit, but in the end it didn't really matter all that much because the acetate that I mentioned earlier does a good job of getting in underneath the Force, and you know, that kind of stops the weapon because as long as they are in the air, they are not hitting me, which is great. I like that a lot. We try and keep that the way that is as much as we possibly can. And then of course, flicking him over and throwing him off balance is always a good thing. And in this case, it ended up with him going down the pit, which we like to see. Now, that puts us at 3 wins and 1 loss for our round robin group, which is more than enough to go through into the finals. And this finals is interesting because there was a 4-way playoff for the quarterfinals, which all 4 of these fights happened all at the same time. So you're about to see 4 fights all at once because I decided to film all of them. We are in the closest quadrant to the camera, but you are more than welcome to watch all of these fights.
3, 2, 1, go! Beautiful.
That's working. I was hoping with the up against the wall you'd get stuck on your core and we'll let you go.
For a second it looked that way,
Yeah.
Oh,
I don't have enough power in this thing to do that.
One minute remaining.
Not that fun, if I tell you this, and I saw your car, cool? Because the car by then was perfect. Because it's and once again, it's one of the things that comes plastic, G's, semi-hard plastic, we protected, yeah. So I was thinking that you might have many more. And so for the whole, all that lot cost me less than one hand chocolate.
So the robot we fought, I should have mentioned, it was called Grabby, and you can probably clearly see the reason for that right now. It is a flipper grabber design, which I knew from the outset I was gonna have troubles with. I have faced a similar design to this one before. In fact, I believe the base files for this robot can be found on Thingiverse. So it has been around a little bit before. Again, I have faced something like it before and I've had troubles with it. And early on in this fight, I knew that I was going to have troubles with it. It was quite low to the ground, and when I did get in underneath him, flipping him over did nothing because those two nice big grabby forks over the back basically just meant that he rolled straight back again. There was nothing that I could really do, which meant that I needed to try and get around the sides of him, but he's a good driver. He wasn't letting me do that. He was trying to keep squared up to me all the time and did a pretty good job. Other than, of course, the one point where I grabbed him by the back and shoved him into the wall, and his grabbers hooked over the wall. And I thought that was it. I thought that at that point I had him and that, yeah, him hooked over the wall, there wasn't going to be any way for him to come back from that. I let him go, and he did indeed get back from that, but he was off balance enough that I was then able to side shove him into the pit. So we got another win, which means we're moving on into the semi-finals, and our opponent going into the semi-finals is Double Dozer, which is built by the same team as Anti-Dozer, the big beetleweight that Annie had a fun time destroying face plates off. And this is a kind of double pyramid wedge thing that can drive inverted and is just a really good wedge.
3, 2, 1, go!
So first of all, sorry for the bad camera angle on this one. I was putting my phone literally in the actual arena and I didn't line it up quite properly, and that is my bad. I am sorry. There is some of that fight obviously that you missed that is lots of just us shoving each other into walls. A lot of Double Dozer actually shoving me into the walls because Double Dozer is really, really low. They are also using acetate on their front wedge, but I think they may have refreshed the acetate before this fight, and I did not. I tend to put acetate on at the start of an event and just leave one lot of acetate on all day. So a lot of the time, head-to-head collisions were them getting underneath me rather than me getting underneath them, which is a problem. Especially for a grounded control bot like this. It does not work super well when the front is up off the ground. So that was interesting, and as mentioned, there was a ton of stuff in there with them slamming me into walls and stuff. Eventually, I did get a lucky grab and managed to get in under their acetate and shove them straight into the pit. So we are doing pretty well right now, and we are up to the finals. And in the finals, we are going to verse a robot called Albacross. This is a brand new build that was brought to ARC's October meet, apparently finished in the week leading up to ARC's October meet, which is something that I personally can very much relate to. And this is a very interesting design because I'm going to call it a swinging dustpan, but it doesn't swing in the way you expect.
3, 2, 1, go!
I hope you can see why I love that design so much. The whole idea of arms that like form a dustpan by swinging in and swinging back out again is incredible. And honestly, with some acetate on those like wedge arms, that thing is going to be really scary going forwards. It was only the fact that I was able to get under him a couple of times to get him just in the wrong position that stopped him from winning that fight. There was a couple of times early where he got me in those like grabby arms in that big dustpan, and yeah, he has full control of you when you're inside the dustpan like that. It's an interesting design. I really, really like it. I can't wait to see how it improves going forwards because, again, it was a brand new design built like the week of the competition. There's definitely improvements that can happen for this design. The interesting thing too is that it was basically the same thing internally as Run For It. It is a Malinky Nano with an N20 running a weapon system that doesn't have any limit switches or anything. You've just kind of got to guesstimate your way through when you're controlling it. So interesting to see that the final two robots in this competition were robots that, at least electrically, are very, very similar designs. And again, I really, really like Albacross. It's very, very fun, and I hope that they're back again with it at the next event and that they've improved it because, yeah, I'd like to see it win some things, even though that means that I don't win things, but I'm honestly okay with that, especially as we did indeed win some things this time. We won the entire competition. That fight with Albacross was the first place finals, and we did indeed win the finals, which is great, great news. I was a little bit worried there for a second because as I pushed Albacross into the pit, they like flung their wings out, that dustpan shape, and didn't go fully in. The rules are a little bit technical and like tricky because we never really have had to adjudicate it, but I think technically as long as you don't touch the bottom of the pit, you're okay. So if he had managed to like flap the wings and get back out, I don't know how the judges would have called that one per se, but of course he moved his wings around and ended up in the pit, so it didn't matter all that much. But I was just kind of, you know, lining a shot up just in case he managed to wiggle his way back out without touching the bottom of the pit because, yeah, stranger things have happened in combat robots. That's, I think, all I'm going to say for that one. But yeah, so there you go. That is the end of the main fights. We have a rumble yet to come, and of course we won the competition, which I'm really happy about. Which kind of again cements this idea that I really want to redo this build and just tweak a few things, change a few things, just make it better, just a little bit, because I think that's going to be cool. I think we'll see. Speaking anyway of finishing the event, we have the Rumble. Now, as mentioned, my sister was driving Exilus for this one, so you will see Exilus floating around in the Rumble. You will also see my side spinner, not enough side, with the side spinner removed, fighting under the name Smile. It was a lone bot for the event, which actually got put in as an alternate because somebody broke their robot so badly that they just needed something, so Smile got thrown in as well.
2, 1, go!
As long as you're over there. Let go of me! I didn't realize that I was stuck on you. You can get off the O-ring.
Flipper jam 10 seconds in.
Alright.
Discovered how to not make my flipper jam.
Back, forward, back, forward.
It jams. The secret is lubrication.
That O-ring buggered mine. I don't know. So good, you're like the fourth one. You had it right, really.
Left and back turn, left right and back turn.
2 minutes left in the match.
It's a little bit push-up. Push-up should be able to drive inverted, but otherwise it's not. It must be stuck on something.
Yeah, Albatross, I had you in the pit. Come on now. It's run for it.
Yeah, I agree. That's the only thing I can do.
Oh, I know what we're trying to do, Ben. Not Ben.
Yes, please.
1 minute remaining.
Yeah, that's right. No one can.
Yeah, come over here. I'll push you in this pit instead.
Seconds remaining.
Oh, he's stuck on a bit of forces. Right, that's what it is. It should be able to drive inverted.
Yeah, he's stuck on something.
Yeah.
One has a parking victory.
Kill someone.
Yes.
Alright, almost 10 seconds left. 10, 9, 8. If you want to call, run for it is the winner.
That was fun. I love a good rumble. Rumbles are always fun. We got stuck under Grabby's wedge, like our flipper got up and caught Grabby under their wedge, which was an interesting spot to be in because I don't think they have full manual control or like remote control over that wedge because I think it's in the grabbers now. So thankfully we got pushed around enough to get loosed again, because otherwise that would have been a very different rumble if we were stuck to Grabby for the entire rest of the rumble. That would have been a very different experience, I think. But yeah, it was an interesting fight. Lots of fun kind of driving around, pestering different people at different times, seeing what effect it had when I flipped them against walls or flipped them over backwards. It was just fun, especially, getting some revenge and, rematches against some of the people that had fought along the way. It was quite good. Of course, we ended up hitting Albatross twice and they managed to get back out both times. Technically, the second one I don't think actually counted. And again, technically, the rumble was actually called in my favor. But, I'm happy to share a victory in a rumble with Albatross, especially as the rumbles are a just for fun thing and There's no trophy or prize or anything handed out for the Rumble. We just do them because Rumbles are fun, and you know, I enjoy a good Rumble. So I'm happy to share title of that Rumble with Albatross. And yeah, all in all, this was a good, fun event that I just fell back in love with my four-wheel drive front hinge flipper. And I think we are going to do something new in the four-wheel drive front hinge flipper space. Wow, if I can get my words together, we will do something in that space eventually. Anyway, I hope you have all enjoyed this one, and I will see you in the next video.